and you kind of have to be here live. So we might have to call a couple extra winners here and see. We'll repick a new winner here. Repick win. All right, next potential winner. Bijan. Is Bijan here? Apologize, guys, for going through this all the time. Are you here? And I'm just going to start rolling through these, Michael, because I want to get to the post show. I know there's a lot of questions in here people are asking about. The dinosaur behind is pretty distracting, saying Smart AV. Hey, he can't help it if there's dinosaurs.
I happen to live in a rough area.
Okay, repick winner. Bijan is not here. I had to start rolling through these guys until we get to the... David Barnes. David Barnes, are you here? I don't want to go through this forever. Because there's also... Alright, David Burgess. Rick Parsley. Alright, next winner. Yeah, we did have to go through a lot last time until Matt Molnar won. Alright, David Barnes. Let's go to the next one here. Eric Olson. Is Eric Olson here? I thought I saw Eric Olson. Is Eric Olson here? Da, 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 da. I'm accepting on his... Alright. No way. Alright. I'm just going to keep rolling them, guys. I'm sorry this takes so long to do this. Alright. Next. Okay. Kenneth Mart. Is Kenneth Mart there? Faith Plano. That sounds like one of our friends from Plano, Texas, probably a church. Kenneth Mart, are you here? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, Michael. This is taking a little while. I'm just going to keep repicking them. All right, no Kenneth Mart. Goodness. All right, Howard Jones. Howard Jones. Come on, Howard. You're always at the live shows. Howard? Come on, Howard. You're always here. Oh my gosh, Howard missed a show, and we picked his name. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to pick another one. Jeez, Howard's going to be mad. Howard always comes to the show. Okay. Oh my goodness. Malik Grant. Is Malik Grant here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry. All right. Next. Goodness gracious. I'm sorry, Michael. This is taking forever. Christopher Higuera. Usually this is a lot faster. Okay. Okay, Howard. Okay. All right, Howard wins. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm going to give it to Howard because he was the first one to say he's here. So, all right. Okay, Howard, congratulations, you win. Sorry, that was tough. Goodness gracious. All right. Congrats, Howard. Howard's also Serious Live. That's what that was. All right, so, let's go to the... oh my goodness. Some of these giveaways are a little bit more work. But here we go. Ta-da! All right, Michael. Now it's time to get the Q&A on here. So, random thought from Brian Anderson. Don't know if it's a bug, but I noticed when you open MacroWorks with vMix open, a bunch of my shortcuts trigger all at once. Any idea on that, Michael?
No. So MacWorks and vMix are both, I won't say they're mutually incompatible, but vMix is written us directly in. So if you've got shortcuts triggered on MacWorks, I don't know how how it would react to that. Just again, MacroWorks is supposed to be for programming things up, and vMix is supposed to be for operating it. So if you close Mac, or if MacroWorks is running and has shortcuts on it, if you've got the same shortcuts programmed on the key as vMix, then of course when you push the button, MacroWorks will do it and vMix will do it simultaneously. So I could see issues with the two running simultaneously. So probably if you have everything programmed in vMix, I just leave it to vMix. If you want to run with some of the other softwares we talked about, MacroWorks is made to do the keystrokes. So you would run that software, our software, MacroWorks, and the other broadcast softwares that you were talking about with the shortcuts.
Got it. Okay, because
Not sure if
I'm
you
kind
answered
of
the
new.
question or not.
Yeah, no, because I'm kind of new to this myself. I just got these buttons yesterday. I didn't even get a chance to push them all yet. I think this one I didn't push it. That's that one, but I think this one. Oh, this is the timeout button. I didn't have to put you in timeout yet, Michael.
Oh, well, thank you.
But I was thinking about it. But yeah, my buttons here, just for fun. I think sound effects would have been kind of more fun and cool. But anywho, I wasn't sure if MacroWorks was, if it's running in the little system tray in Windows, does that mean that it's running, or does that just mean it's there?
It means it's running, probably, and it depends on what you programmed onto it. So if you did program it to send keystrokes or something like that, or do what it does, it's going to do it. And if vMix was programmed on the same button to do something, vMix will simultaneously do what they wanted to do. So it might work that they would work together. It might be interesting to do that for certain applications. But for most things, I'd say it's safer, especially in a broadcast situation, to use one or the other, probably.
Got it. And Michael, what camera are you using right now?
I could lie and say I'm using the PTZ, which seems to be sitting in the corner of our new studio here and pointing at the wall, or I could say that I'm using the camera stuck on the front of my laptop. Which one would you like me to say?
No, I just obviously be honest. So you're just using a webcam. It was just a question that came in.
I am, but actually we've just built our new studio, and that's why I can have dinosaurs running around, because our studio was built in front of a dinosaur cage. And your camera is right there on the tripod, and I'm looking at it right now. So we're looking forward to having a spot where we have our X-keys products on a little thing, and we can zoom in on the newest X-keys products. So we're going to have, our studio will have a spot for the talent, so to speak, and then our important things, the products. So we'll have a table with our products on it, and the camera will have two different presets, and one will be the desk, and the other will be product of the day, for example.
Got it. Cool. Well, if you need any help with that kind of stuff, let me know. Just kind of getting you back in the jungle there. That jungle thing, guys, was Michael's request. Okay, and then the dinosaur. I'm not faulting you. I think it's cool, but apparently it's just because the dinosaur comes in so randomly. I think people are getting frightened. I don't know.
Well, okay, we can make them feel good. No dinosaurs were harmed in the filming of this show.
That's true. Yeah, we actually, there might have been a little harm over there on your end, but I think everything else was fine. Okay, a couple other questions here. We have a whole bunch of great people here. Brian's asking about the hotkeys and explaining how that all works. Prep Spin says he needs those X-keys. Well, I would definitely get some. You can enter to win the 24 key thing. Do you want to talk about the 24? Let's look at your website. We forgot to look at your website.
Yes, our website has everything on it. You can buy directly through us. You can buy through Amazon, get it in your 2-day shipping or whatever. So we claim to sort of be prosumer, right? The professional consumer, like you have in photo studios, professional cameras and things like that. You can make a control surface out of our equipment for far less than a $100,000 control system that a television station might own. And you can do it from one button, like you said, with the red button there, to 124 keys, or multiple devices, like the person who said they had 280 keys programmed up.
How about this little guy? We missed so much stuff, Michael, that we were supposed to talk about. And here we are in the post show. I'm trying to cover some tracks here. This works with the Rokosoft software, correct?
It does, although he's done such a good job at presets that one of the things I made a point earlier is that, do we need joysticks anymore if we've got software so we're setting him up with your camera, another one of your cameras there in our conference room, that we'll just have presets. I don't want to have to fine tune, especially if I'm doing a meeting, I'm not going to fine tune my joystick to pick out each person in the audience. So we will preset it to have one of 6 locations, and you just push buttons 1 to 6. I really don't need a joystick for that because his software has done such a good job. So while we do produce a joystick product, we do produce a jog knob product and the T-bar product, those in the future of software may have less and less applications, although we still, if you are driving a camera and you don't know where it needs to go, then it makes perfect sense to use the joystick.
Well, for live production, the conferencing space is a completely different space. And these buttons are hidden under the table, maybe, I could see. You walk in, you boom, hit the button, and the camera goes right to you. But for live production, this looks like it would be a nice little joystick / button controller.
But it depends on what your live production is. Again, let's go to the church venue or the auditorium venue. I've got a PTZ camera or 2 of them mounted in the ceiling now, and I have only a few places on the stage that I need to get to, right? Mm-hmm. I need to get to the podium, and I need to get to the altar and a few things like that. So it still might be very useful to have the buttons as opposed to, right?
Well, that's why I like this product, because it looks like it's you have buttons and you have a joystick.
It'll have both. I'm not dissing our product there. It's very useful as a joystick. It's a joystick. So if a joystick works for your application, then it's fine. And it's professional. It has the buttons and has the same support that we do in all of our products. So you can program those. The joystick comes as a USB joystick, but the buttons can be keystrokes or even hooked straight to vMix. So. I'm not. Okay. I don't know of all. vMix supports most of our products, so I think he may even support the pen and tilt with that product.
So you guys have a lot of products here. Is there anything specifically you want me to show off?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, we have a lot of products in this space. The switch interface means that you can build anything you want. That was what you're using the red button with. Any switch closure will be able to create a signal that will be supported by vMix or can make hotkeys supported by the other ones. We've got foot pedals, like for prompting software. We actually find that people use the foot pedal often. There's a 3-button foot pedal there, and then again with the switches, you can create whatever you need to. So we find that the foot pedal is used, again, if a talent is operating the prompting screen, then they may want to use the foot pedal because their hands are being used to gesture and things. They don't want to look like they're operating a prompting screen.
Very, very interesting. I'm glad we got a chance to take a look at your product line. Let's just keep going on this here. So you got the switches to do prompting in your live production video streaming software. You've got the button keys with the T-bars. You've got the foot pedals. You've got the analog controls with joysticks. And everybody loves joysticks. It's like from a kid going to arcades.
It's just fun.
I don't know.
I know I'm going to be in trouble for saying that they may go away, but
I don't think they're going anywhere.
They're fun to drive. So they're
not going anywhere. Our sales of our joysticks are going up and up and up and up and up. And people just like joysticks. It's that whole thing about products being intuitive. You don't have to teach someone how to use a joystick, And the problem with the buttons the presets, is that now Rokosoft has solved this, but the problem is you come in and even this, it's like, well, I know what these buttons are, but does the next guy? Does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mean anything to the other guy?
Right. So we have relabelable keys. So if you take our 24 keys and you set them up to say seat 1, seat 2, seat 3, whatever makes sense to your group, that I think that was one of, although it didn't seem like a genius thing at the time, we were basically copying a point of sale keyboard, like McDonald's used back in the 80s, which was key buttons with labels underneath them. So it made sense to me when I was going to build a macro keyboard to make it so you could relabel it. Even Logitech and people like that who made a few macro keys on the side of their keyboard, it was still said, G1, G2, G3. It's like, well, I don't remember what that does today, or my next person coming in to use my keyboard won't know that. But if your X-keys is actually labeled up to say, start camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and then, position 1 or Bob, Bob always sits in that seat, whatever you want. So because you can label them as professional, unprofessional as you want, you can take out a Sharpie and scribble on the paper underneath if you want.
Let's answer a couple more questions here. So Malik, you were really close there, but Howard was actually first. And and we're just going to let that happen there. Good job, Sirius Live. Took 6 minutes to find our winner. Hopefully it'll be faster next time. Brian's talking about you can't set up while you're streaming, obviously. So the magic buttons with OBS, the hotkeys in OBS, I believe is what we're talking about here. One of the X-keys doesn't remember its backlight setting. One does. So are there activators inside of these that actually light up?
vMix does have activators now, so you can program vMix to send commands back to the X-keys. So we have backlighting on the keys, which are both a red and a blue on each key.
Oh.
If you want to just generally backlight the product, then that's easy to set it as a permanent backlighting. If you want an active feedback, then the software has to be fairly intelligent because it has to send a message back to the keyboard to say turn on button 1, turn off button 2. So that's usually we would let integrators build that in. So if it's OEM product where they built the software specifically for a product, they have complete control over that. We have SDKs that let any developer build for that. MacroWorks has limited capability because, again, it's generally trying to be a keystroke device, so it doesn't really know how to send the lighting back to it, although you can set up permanent patterns if you want one area to be red and one area to be blue, so it's obvious that this is your hot keys and those are your cool keys, for example. Then the two colors make sense.
Can you use key blockers on any X-keys product?
Well, that's almost. I believe our stick keys, which actually uses, it's a very low profile device, uses a different switch, but any of our standard products that use our normal key plunger, the cherry key switch cross on there, they're actually our own keys, so that the backlighting can come through them, but they use the same standard cherry key stem, and on those our blockers will work on everything we make in that line. So 90% of what we build, yes, maybe 99%. I suppose it won't work on a foot pedal. That wouldn't be smart.
And Michael, I can answer this one. Yes, the X-keys software is used to program the buttons. It's called MacroWorks.
MacroWorks, yeah, that's again, you don't have to program it if you use an SDK and you wrote your software directly for it. So vMix doesn't have to have any programming. Out of the box, an unprogrammed X-keys will be recognized by vMix. So wonderful. It's only if you want to try to trick a software that doesn't know about us that MacroWorks would be the reason you'd have to do that.
Yes, and that is the case for OBS and Wirecast at this point. Joe Calabrese is asking, can X-keys in vMix control PTZ functions of the PTZ cameras? Yes, it can. Just made a video yesterday explaining it, actually. Because the X-keys can do anything in vMix, and vMix can already control the PTZ of our cameras, it's a really beautiful marriage. In fact, I'll show the studio one more time here. But my goal is to take one of these buttons and basically put it over here on the new studio here. So basically, I can have a button for my for the second person in our stream to go over there, and when she wants to go live, she hits the button, boom, and the camera switches directly to her. So that's going to be fun. And that's kind of one of the ideas, but you can certainly use these buttons to control the pan tilt zoom of the cameras for sure.
Yeah, so an easy thing to program in your large controller, you have your T-bar, is a small section that is the arrows of a PTZ for you. So you can use them, just to drive, or some preset locations in your studio.
That's smart.
So like I said, in our studio, we're planning having a small table with our products on it. We'll put it maybe it's a green table, so we can green screen the product on top of a dinosaur's back, as we often would like to do. And then another button that moves the PTZ camera straight back to the talent. And I claim that I have some talent, but I'm not sure what.
Well, it's a figure of speech.
That's probably true.
I guess that's it, everybody. There's a last thing here. Michael Burgess just wanted to tell you, Michael, that he really likes your name. I think it's the Michael Hetherington. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful name.
Well, Hetherington's a great name, and I'm glad he appreciates that.
So that pretty much wraps up our show. Is there anything that we missed, Michael?
Well, just that there's a million things to do with X-keys, so I suppose I can go on all day long, but...
Okay, well,
covered quite a bit.
We're going to be live streaming on Facebook on Monday, and Dan's going to join us. We'll be giving away the 24-button X-keys controller, so everyone can look forward to that. And I'm thinking about titling the Facebook live stream, how to launch a live stream with a single button.
All right.
I feel like that's something that people would be interested in, and we'll kind of focus on these buttons, but of course we'll answer any questions about X-keys that come up in the future. I gotta say that this T-bar is so freaking cool. I'm just gonna just show it one more time here. Just look at that. Boom. That's the merge function, but of course in vMix, the top one that you choose, so if I just wanted to do zoom, I guess zoom is pretty much the same thing as merge. If I wanted to fly you in, that's pretty much the same thing too. Let's see if I can find a different one. Cube, I'll cube you in. What?
You may not be clicking the right function, but there we go.
There we go.
All right.
Look at that.
So I don't know if you've watched any of vMix's live shows, but if you look carefully, there's a T-bar at the bottom. You can see his T-bar at all times, since he's always using an X-keys T-bar. So vMix uses it in all their live shows too. Their
live show was so exciting last week. The announcement to add video conferencing as an input into vMix is, and I'm usually the guy who says, hey, we all have to be nice here. Wirecast is as good as vMix. vMix is as good as TriCaster. TriCaster is better depending on who you are. But adding video conferencing into the video production software, that's a differentiator that we haven't seen in this industry in a long time.
Well, to me, when on the version 18, when they added the whatever they call it, the data sources. Yeah. See, I'm doing a lot of work with small sporting venues, swimming and gymnastics and diving, where we'd like to film the dive, and then I'd like to put the dive scores right across the bottom. My software creates all those dive scores already, so just running it into vMix is going to be very fun and easy. So that's our next goal, is to integrate some of our sporting software directly with the vMix output.
Actually, we're getting a couple more questions here I don't want to miss out on. So here's a couple last ones here. Is there a way to control RS-232 controlled products with the X-keys?
We do have an RS-232 version. It's not of an X-keys with a keyboard. We have an output device that's RS-232 that is not a COM port, which is a subtle difference for those who are programming. So if you're an OEM and want to make an RS-232 product that really does conveniently hook to an RS-232 channel, wire, so to speak, then we have that. We do have one, I guess, a 24 keys that is RS-232 native, and then we have one we call VCOM, which is a USB COM port. So we have a few products. If you search around our website for RS-232, it's an old but very interesting and actually useful protocol, but it's so complicated for most people. It isn't as plug and play as most people would like. If you understand RS-232, then there are a lot of things that you can do with it. And we have a few products for that because a lot of the world was built on RS-232.
It was. There's so much RS-232 out there. And Brian Anderson saying you should mention the vMix activators, because as soon as you activate them with vMix, they should work with X-keys. And he said he just implemented them with X-keys, so now when his camera buttons actually change color when they're active. That is awesome.
Yeah, vMix has been really good. He's had fun with our hardware, and we've had fun with his software. So every time we show him a feature, he just writes it in. So we love Martin because he's very capable, of course. He's a genius. And he actually gets what, I built hardware, so for years I put all these features I know I would want, and I know somebody would want, and he actually uses them all. So
how does one guy like that end up creating the software that's always ahead of the game? One guy.
He's not married.
That's got to be what it is. No kids.
It must be.
He's not married.
Yeah, and sometimes software is done by huge teams, but I think a lot of good software is just done by one dedicated individual. In the morning, he wakes up and has a team leader meeting and decides what is going to be accomplished that day. And by the end of the day, his team himself in his own little mind has finished it or not. So I think some success on a project like this, where he really understands the technology and he really understands the industry, those two things, and he's obviously smart. So all that put together, you can probably do a far better job than a big corporation that has to have a meeting every week and figure out what they plan on doing.
Yeah, and we're getting one last question, and then we'll wrap this up. But yes, you can control the T-bar to do transitions, and it's really, really nice, as you can see here, just going back and forth in the cube mode. I wonder what would happen if I change this now. But you can change it to other things as well. Da-da-da-da. Whole bunch of different ways to use it. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been an amazing show. Michael, thank you so much for coming, and also for sponsoring the giveaway, which we're doing on Facebook Live on Monday. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you at the shows like NAB.
All right. Take care,
And that's
Michael.
all, folks. Tune in next Friday on YouTube, and don't miss our new Facebook Live show, airing at the same time on Mondays. Have you joined our new Facebook user group? Stick around for a brief Q&A session where we answer your questions live.